Hello, welcome back to Blue Harvest Vintage Toys. Today I'm just going to be talking about how to collect. I'm going to start off with Star Wars figures, and I'm just going to give you a bit of advice about collecting. So as you can see, I don't have an extensive range of Star Wars figures, the vintage Star Wars figures. I collect vintage and I collect Black Series. I'm trying to get these displays sorted out, but I just thought I'd give you a look at what I have. Number one with collecting, do your research. Find books, not necessarily this because this is quite expensive, but there are other books available, really inexpensive books. If you go onto Echo Base, you can order this for £8 and it gives you all the figures and all the weapons you need for each figure. Things like that. Do your research. That's the main thing. Main thing to start off with. Read up. Go on the internet if you're not a book person. Go on the internet. And as we're doing Star Wars figures today, this is very inexpensive. Bought this on eBay. It's 2005. The prices are totally wrong now, but gives you a general idea. And again, it's another book that tells you which weapon goes for which figure. So yeah, number one, do research. Find out if you like that figure and how much it's going to be to collect, because vintage Star Wars is not the easiest thing to collect, not the cheapest thing to collect. So again, do your research. Now, just because you're collecting Star Wars and your big main thing is Star Wars, you don't have to go for the vintage. Again, as I said, research. You don't have to. The figures are, you can get pretty cheap, but if you want to be complete, they are very expensive. Now, if you're just starting out collecting Star Wars, why don't you go for something like a Funko Pop, which Forbidden Planet selling for £2.99, and that's a lot of the Star Wars ones. This was got at B&M for something like £2.99, £3.99. It's an entry-level way of collecting, really. Another entry-level way is Lego figures. Now, you don't have to buy the big sets. The big sets are expensive, but the little micro sets, which this TIE Pilot coming from, little micro sets, you can pick up for like £2.99. Go to charity shops, go to market stalls, go to vintage shops, things like that. They'll sell little Lego figures for sometimes £1 a piece. Even go on eBay. They might do you a job lot, or they might sell you one figure. It might be after like a Yoda, and you pay £2 or £3 for a Yoda. This is how I came back into collecting. I knew I didn't have a lot of space, so I started collecting the little Lego figures, and I had hundreds of them. I sold them up to start collecting the vintage because I had a bit more space. I got a bit more into it back again. So yeah, just collect what you like, really. There are plenty of options to collect Star Wars. The merchandise is unbelievable. You can collect magazines, posters, you name it. You go into a shop, there'll be something Star Wars. You can start collecting that. It's totally up to you. These are the Black Series I have had signed. I've got Black Series all over, to be honest with you. I've got plenty more in a box somewhere, but I've just I've not got the room. I mean, that is another important fact of when you're thinking about collecting anything. Have you got the room for it? You can stick to one subject. You can have a focus, even if it's like vintage figure, collecting Luke Skywalkers, or just a different version of Luke, like a Luke Bespin. There's plenty of different Bespin Lukes. Have a focus on that one. If your budget's tight, if your room's tight, just stick to one thing, even if it's just the first 12. Just collect that thing. Again, do your research, talk to people on Facebook, the Facebook groups, talk to me. I'm always here, and that is why I want to do this, because I want to help people. And I always have my podcast, now my YouTube channel, and that is what I'm about. I want to help you. So you can stick to one thing, or do whatever you like. If it's Star Wars, you might see a Funko Pop you like, you might see a Black Series you like, you might see a vintage you like, you might just collect all Star Wars, and that is fine. Collect what makes you happy. The next thing I'm going to say to you is, don't blow your budget. Have a set budget to what you want each month. Yes, you might see something that you really like, and if you've got the money for it, yes, but do not overextend yourself. It'll lead to problems with the family. I mean, even if you buy yourself, it's always going to lead to problems in the current climate, but in any climate, whatever, whenever. You might be watching this a year later, and it's still going to apply, because it can get out of hand. You can be on eBay for hours on end, buying everything you want, but again, just be careful. Set yourself a budget. Set yourself a budget for each month, and you know what you want to collect. So at me, at the moment, I've got my first 12 complete. I've started getting the first 21 complete. So this month, I'm looking for a Greedo. I need a Greedo and a Snaggletooth for my first 21 complete. Now, if I see a blaster or something like that on eBay that I know I need for my 21, I'll get that, and then I'll put the Greedo a bit further on. I've just bought the retro collection. As I said, I collect vintage Black Series, and I saw the retro collection, the first wave in Asda. I class it as vintage, even though I know it's not really, but it is vintage. It's like the Black Series. There's so many different lines of Black Series. There's the exclusives. There's the 40th anniversary Empire Strikes Back's coming out. I'm not going to touch those, because I've already got most of those figures already in the boxes. Now, I got some of the first wave 40th anniversary because some of the figures I didn't have in the boxes. A couple of the figures I saw very cheap. Got 2 for £20, so I picked those up. I didn't have those anyway, so it worked out. So yeah, just be careful. Just please be careful. So finally, what I'm going to say is enjoy yourself. This is a hobby. This is a hobby. End of the day, take your time with collecting. Don't rush out and just buy everything. If you've got millions of pounds, it's still I'll still say the same. What is the fun in just buying everything? It's nice to have it all, but I've collected the vintage line 4 times. 4 times. The first time was when it was originally out. The second time was in the 90s, early 90s, when there was no Star Wars whatsoever out there. Maybe there'd been the Bendhams, but I never went down that line. There was a market stall on Leeds Market, and it had the whole lot of figures, and it gave me that feeling inside, thinking, oh. So I bought a Millennium Falcon, which I never had. I can't remember if I bought the AT-AT, but I'd go back every week, buy a figure off him or whatever I liked. I first saw the Anakin Skywalker figure there, and I thought I'd bought something special because I'd never seen it before. I think I seem to remember it being mail away, and I just told my friend that I've got this special figure. I don't know, it was only £2, and so yeah, that was the second time. I sold them all again because I played American football at the time and I needed some equipment, unfortunately. So the third time was a couple of years ago, and my shop had shut. I needed something, a hobby to keep my time up, so I started the podcast. So I thought I'd start collecting again. So I got almost the first. I almost got the whole 96. I think I was a few away in the last 17. I got all up to the Return of the Jedi, Star Wars Empire Strikes Return of the Jedi. There was a few last 17 because they're very expensive and hard to get hold of. Well, they're not hard to get hold of. They're not that rare, but they are very expensive, and some of them aren't that cracking really. So yeah, just enjoy yourself. It's a hobby. We can't go out to look for these things, and when we can, it's quite hard to find vintage Star Wars figures. But when you do, that feeling of when you find a vintage either toy shop or an antiques place that has Star Wars figures is amazing. And even if you don't want them, you can think, I'll just buy the lot. But again, it goes back to not blowing your budget, taking your time, enjoying yourself. And if you don't enjoy it, stop doing it. Simple as that. So there you go. Again, research. Either stick to one. Either like the Funkos, the Lego, the vintage, or collect what you like. I mean, you can go and just buy everything Star Wars if you've got the money in the room. But that leads on to not blowing your budget. Don't blow your budget. Even if you're a millionaire, there's no fun in buying everything. So there you go. Enjoy yourself. Take your time. Enjoy your hobby. And may the toys be with you.